Previously on Boxer2Valve.com.
Hey, what's up, man?
I found this /6. You know, I'm always looking on Craigslist. You always get killer deals. A lot of people don't know what they have. Pretty exciting, man. This thing's gonna be a score.
This could be kind of a cool deal.
Pretty dusty and dirty in a barn with a bunch of horses and chickens and stuff. A typical classic barn find.
We're gonna put it back on the road. We're gonna kind of go through it right now. We're probably gonna restore it later, but we kind of just think it's kind of cool to have a /6, a 1975 /6, just as a runner.
So I think what we should do is make the assumption that this bike pretty much needs everything. And all the seals, you know, we might as well just go through and replace them from front to back all the way through. So rather than figure out what it needs as time goes on. So I think what we should do is, first of all, let's remove this fairing, get it out of the way, and we'll take off the tank and the seat. And then if you want to work on getting the rear end, the swing arm off the bike, I'll work on getting the carburetors off and getting the gearbox out so we can look at those components. And then we'll look at the rear main seal, check out the clutch, replace what's necessary in there, and then we'll deal with the other components and start reassembling it from the back forward. And then we'll go back, circle back to do the motor. We'll reseal the cylinders. We'll reseal the timing cover, maybe have a look at the timing chain. And then we'll get the bike running, and then I think we should go in later, we'll flip the bike around and have a look at the steering head bearings, redo the forks, and of course wheel bearings on the wheels as they are off. And I think then once it all comes back together, we'll have a runner. What do you think about that plan?
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's get this thing off first, and then we'll start with the other things.
Right.
So this is the classic old Luftmeister fairing. These were pretty popular back in the 70s. Before they had invented the RT. This is what people, I think, wanted at the time, but it's pretty funky. You can see how they just took the turn signals off and like bent the turn signal stalks to make clearance, just super quick, and kind of crazy, but that's how they did it back then. And so anyway, it's just a matter of removing the main plug here, and then the whole fairing's actually held on with a bunch of hose clamps. Pretty cheesy, but that's how it was done. But sayonara to this thing. Let's get started.
This thing is really held on by hose clamps.
Yep.
Look at how cheese whiz.
But at least they're stainless steel hose clamps, you know?
Yes, they got quality on there.
Yep. Yeah, when you see something like this fairing or other funky things that were done back in the 70s or 80s, don't let that discourage you, because they can easily be removed and the bike put back to original condition. Okay, here we go.
She's a beauty.
It already looks better. All right, so let's take this off next. We will definitely replace the seat on this bike. We carry seats for virtually every model, and not only the complete seats in reproduction, but also individual components like covers, the seat foams, the pans can be ordered too. And so you don't have to live with a torn or worn out seat. We've got the parts to fix it right up.
Backwards. They are. The lever goes this way towards the wheel.
Okay.
How's that looking over there?
Carburetors are off. These are they don't look too bad. They'll clean up pretty nice. Oh wow, look at that. A K&N air filter. High performance.
High performance.
pretty clean in there, actually.
Yeah, I'm
No
surprised.
rat nest, man.
Yeah, not like that other one that RS that had literally the rat nest underneath the seat. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
That was crazy. Oh, look at this. This has been like repaired with a piece of angle iron welded on. Must have had a heavy passenger or something. Well, the splines aren't totally torched.
They're kind of runnable, I'd say.
Almost. Well, maybe for right now. Well, we'll see how the rest of it looks.
Is that a slash 5 wheel?
Looks like it is. Whenever things used to get swapped out all the time, you know. Because it's all interchangeable. This particular bike actually had a /5 rear wheel on it. That just shows you how interchangeable the parts are. You can swap parts from one year to the next. It's one of the cool things about these older BMWs. Luckily, we had a /6 wheel in our stash of parts, and so we're putting it back to stock. It's a whole lot easier to get these batteries out when the air box is out. Try to lift it down the middle.
Got these lock washers on it.
Yeah, so that's the old school.
So I've seen that you could put those new drive shaft bolts on older bikes too. They just like superseded it or something.
Yeah, they got rid of the lock washer quite a long time ago. And around the time they invented Loctite.
Right.
So
77,
I don't
78.
know when. But you just basically don't need the lock washers anymore. You put the shorter bolts in and you clean everything really well and use some blue Loctite, and I never had them come loose. There you go.
Ready?
Well, no, I had it all lined up for you. Here.
Is it right there?
No. Right there, stop. Man, that master cylinder looks
Roach.
bad. That's going to be a whole other story.
Might be able to vapor blast the body and rebuild it.
I don't know. We'll see how bad the pitting is inside. Might need a sleeve. But we can do that. Well, somebody pilfered parts off this thing. The advance unit's missing on the end of the cam. So there was no...
I have one.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, we have one.
So that's not going to be a problem then. As many bikes have been sitting around for such a long time, this one was missing a few components. Things get borrowed or pilfered somehow, cannibalized for another bike. So you always want to kind of keep that in mind and see what's missing, what you're going to need. It's all part of the overall cost of restoring the motorcycle. And take nothing for granted. Make sure every fastener is checked and tightened, because you never know who's been in there. And it's a matter of safety. So now we've got things taken apart pretty well on this bike, and now the next episodes are going to be a little more interesting. We're going to show you now how to actually reseal the parts and put it all back together. That's the fun part, so stay tuned.